I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I will note that we have a few board members excused, including Pat Bodie, Callan Corridors, Helen Hudson. Anybody else? I think that covers it. Everyone else is here. And we will go to Joe for a report from the secretary.
Would we first approve the minutes?
We can, Joe, because that's first on the agenda. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes from the September 26th, 2019 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion?
Do we have to approve these other minutes in the packet, Joe?
From October 10th.
Oh, from the special meeting?
Yes, I apologize. I think that was an oversight on the agenda.
All right.
So the special meeting minutes from October 10th are in the packet. As you can see, if we can do that as well.
Good catch. Okay, so we have, we'll do two separate motions or?
Yes, so we have approved September 26th. If we could have a motion for October 10th, that would take care of those minutes as well.
I think, did we vote on the September 26th? Did we get that? I don't think we got to that point.
No, I think we just had the motion.
We can only go up from here as far as the meeting goes. Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second, we had some discussion. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. We also have our October 10th special meeting minutes.
So moved. Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried. Okay, back to you, Joe.
Yes, good morning. We
Morning.
have two pieces of correspondence that relate to voting items today. One is a letter from Ms. Slack to the State Comptroller submitting our financial plan, which we approved at the special meeting, and that relates to the voting item on the bond issuance on the agenda. And we have correspondence from our insurance agent relative to our renewal of the directors and officers' insurance liability.
Okay,
And that completes my report.
great. Thanks, Joe. All right, next up, we'll get our program manager report. Invite Chris up.
Good morning. How's
Morning.
everybody?
Good.
Turn this up just slightly. So just to kind of give you an overview, starting in the upper left-hand corner of the report there that you have in front of you, just to speak to where we are. Henniger, we're looking to go out to get that advertised here very shortly. First week of November is our target to get that out on the street and advertised, and then receive bids basically before Christmas, looking at second week of December is where we are, and then starting the work over there sometime in the second quarter. So that's the plan for Henniger at the moment as we're moving forward. Clary Elms and Danforth, I have this in a couple spots on here, but basically what we're doing with those is the plan there was for procurement to start in the second quarter of 20. And we're looking at that, as we said at the previous meeting, kind of just analyzing the sequence for that in concert with trying to look at the workload for next summer. So we're balancing two things here. We're trying to maintain the procurement schedule as we originally planned, and also be mindful of our financial plan and the borrowings related to that, and at the same time trying to balance that workload a little bit for summer 2020 so we don't have quite the bottleneck that we did before. So work in progress, more to come. I don't have anything specific to report on that sequence as of yet, but we will. Underneath the project financing and approvals, I think the next piece here is the revised financial plan did go back in, was submitted into OSC. And then the next up on the agenda is the financing approval for the T2B financing, of which we have dates set for that in October and November for the approvals, and then the SIDA to review, the SIDA approval to follow in November and December. So we're moving along the lines there. In terms of project design, don't have much to report there. Just working through, as I said, with the Danforth Fowler interior Clary and Elms. Getting those documents tidied up and working through the procurement of where we're going to be. Under construction, not to go through every one of these, but or in detail on every one of these, but Blodgett exterior masonry, hoping to bring that to some closure here by the end of November. We have one section left that we're doing on the outside of the building, and they're in progress on that. The other things we were working on the toilet rooms, the turnover of the toilet rooms. much anticipated, much needed. So we're in the process on that. The plan is to turn over from 4th floor down, working our way down, and first week in November for the 4th floor, and then the other floors to follow after that. So that's really the focus there. The other piece we have is we do have a ramp entrance modification that we have to do if we were to drive by the ramp that comes in the front of the building. That needs to get reworked. So we're working on a plan to maintain access while we're doing that work, and a lot of that will probably fall to the Christmas break. So Huntington, again, plugging away at Huntington. I'm going to jump over, if I can, for a quick minute to the center under constraints and critical issues, the second item up, Grant, Huntington, and Blodgett, and kind of speak to these three at once. We had said last time that we clearly missed the completion dates that were identified for those, and that we were getting schedules from the general contractors to identify the path forward and the completion date. So a couple on Blodgett, I think we received that from them. We got a few things that we're still working through, but we're looking at like the first quarter of 2020 to get that completion, the work completed over there in terms of the work, not necessarily closed out. Huntington, still something we're focused on. We did receive a schedule. I'm going to say that we're not completely bought into that schedule in terms of the ability to accomplish what's on the piece of paper there. So we're still having some focused discussions with the GC. But I'm going to tell you, I think that looking at what's there and what's in front of them, it's likely that work is going to push out into the summer of 2020. And when I say that, I'm not saying it that we accept that. I'm just saying that that's looking at where it is. But we've got the focus on the general contractor there to further some discussions and find ways, because we're frankly not thrilled with the level of progress that's been happening over there. So we think that there's room for improvement. At Grant, again, we asked for a recovery schedule, did not receive that. CNS has put one together in the absence of one from the contractor, and they're trying to push that to get through that. But again, not real thrilled with some of the progress that's happening over there. I think there's room for improvement there in terms of progress. But again, looking at probably that quarter one of 2020 to get through that. So, but I did want to speak to those three, because those were the three that were of most significant focus. So.
I have a question. With the extension of the contracts, will that affect any of the displacement of students in extending that out? Otherwise, is the remainder of the work has to be done something where we're going to have to take a look at using swing space for students at any one of those schools in the future?
We have occupancy at those schools. We're not currently displacing anyone in a swing space as a result of what's happening there. But I'd remiss to say it's not an inconvenience, because there's spaces that they would like to have turned over that have not been turned over. So, and I also want to speak to, just so we're clear on it, is we have not extended anyone's contract. We've not authorized an extension. They didn't finish when they were supposed to, and we're working with them to get to a finish date. But I just a point of clarity that we haven't conceded to say that's okay and extended their contract. Just from a legal side, Joe would probably agree that it's an important distinction, right?
Yes, very important.
So, other questions? Was there another question, or?
No.
Okay.
Thank you.
So we kind of covered the Grant, the Huntington. The Ed Smith is a bright spot that I'd like to we're in and reoccupied over there. I think the occupants are very pleased with the building. From what I've heard, it was positive. Looks good inside if you haven't been there. So now our focus is to get done over there and complete the punch list. There's pretty long list of punch list items that they've got to get through and then achieve financial closeout. So I know Art and his team at at La Chase is pushing hard to get through that with them, so we can get through and get that final paid.
What does that schedule look like?
We're pushing to you've set a goal of Christmas is what he'd like to have. I'm sorry?
Pretty aggressive.
It's aggressive, but we've got to start it aggressive and move there. So they're in and occupied all areas of the building, but there's a lot of little things that need to get cleaned up. And then probably the more focus on it is the financial cleanup. There's a lot of outstanding proposals that we need pricing on, and we've been pushing on that for a while to try and get the pricing out of the general contractor so that we can resolve them. And that's been a bit of a challenge. So Bellevue, going to be turning over, we have the pre-K rooms over there, 3 rooms plus the LGI room. And so the anticipation is to get that turned over here, again, beginning of November, and get that reoccupied. We're in the process of getting that inspected, getting the fire department inspections in, the electrical inspections, and getting everything ready for that to be turned over. And then it'll be the same push there, is to try and get us financially closed out as well. So, Fowler Roof, we are pushing to get that 100% closed out. The work is all done. The paperwork is in. We just need to finalize a lot of the documentation stuff, and then we'll have that resolved. And I kind of jumped over the Fraser at the very beginning here. That has been finalized from the general contractor's perspective, and the final pay app is here for approval today. So that's a good one to get. And then we'll be filing a final cost report for that in December. Fowler site is moving along as well. If you haven't been by there, they are, much to everyone's question, no, we're not giving away dirt. But there's a big enough pile over there, and I guess they get asked on a daily basis, are you giving away any of the dirt? So, but we're driving piles over there. The wooden piles are going in, and that's definitely resonating a bit through the neighborhood. You can hear it. So, but that's good. It's the sound of some progress. Happy that we have not had any landmines, so to speak, over there yet. We've run into a few things, some utility lines that we've discovered. We've a couple abandoned conduits, but nothing that's been a showstopper. And knock on wood, we've been good on the environmental side too. We've got some dirt that's came out of there that was pretty foul smelling, but it did tested negative for having any petrochemical in it, which was good. So
How long are you going to be driving piles over there?
I guess we probably have another week, Nate. A month, another month of it
4 to 6 weeks. So
total. Okay.
There's about 50 in, and they have, what, 1,200 more to go.
Okay.
It's gonna be a while.
Okay, and hours of operation for the pile driving?
They're operating day, right?
Generally they've been 7 to 3:30.
Okay.
Monday through Friday. They will try and take advantage of the good weather during the weekend. I think actually they're gonna try and work this weekend.
Okay, all right. Thanks.
So once we get those in, the sequence is drive all the piles in, then it kind of comes back to a more predictable site, because we get the piles in, we pour the cap, and then the construction from there up is pretty traditional construction. So.
Okay.
All right, and then Corcoran and Nottingham, again, continue to move along there. Those are phased sequence projects, so we're plugging away there and moving forward with those. Under my constraints, critical issues, I think we talked. Eyes are on Ed Smith to get that the closeout and get the financial there. Bellevue, turning those rooms over and then getting that closed out as well. That about covers what I had.
Great.
Questions?
No, I just want to pay a compliment. I know oftentimes we're looking and doing some of the critical analysis, but I do just want to say that I really am excited to see the work that's being done and the outcome over at Blodgett. It is looking great, and it is something to be proud when you go by there. It's much needed, and it is just really sort of shining through. So I just really want to compliment the work there, as well as seeing the excitement of the work that's being done over at Fowler.
Yeah.
So I just want to commend the work that's being done. So that's it.
Well, thank you. I said it's nice to actually have some pictures that represent and give you a little bit of vision of what we're accomplishing there. For so long, it was pictures that was tough to get anything that was meaningful to show you that. So,
I've received a positive feedback on pretty much every one of these projects. So obviously we had to press hard at the end of the summer there, and still work to be done. But what has been done is very much appreciated. So nice work to all involved.
well, I appreciate that, and I think the team appreciates that, because you got a lot of folks that are working really hard on that. So,
All right, so you guys got your great one compliment. So next week, it's as usual.
Right.
No.
fair enough, Larry. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, next up, our financial statements report.
Good morning.
Morning.
We have This month, I'm going to be presenting July and August financial statements. We're playing a little bit of catch-up here, so this should bring us up to date. As you may recall, last month I presented May and June's. So I will report this simultaneously throughout the report. You probably have both July and August in front of you. I'm going to cover August. That's the report I will follow along with if you'd like to follow with me. And I'm going to start on page 5. And this is the statement of net position. So at the end of August, both Phase 1 and Phase 2 cash totals out at approximately $129.3 million. Also included in the is the capital assets of $162 million. And that represents all closed Phase 1 projects. We will see a change in that as we start to close the Phase 2 projects. Compared to the June statement, cash decreased by $26 million, and that was due to vendor payments of $15.2 million in July, and we had $11.3 million expenses in August. And the interest income totaled $415,000 for the 2 months combined. The total liabilities at the close was $293.8 million, and that includes the total current bonds payable along with the long-term bonds and over the next 15 years, along with the $23 million bond anticipation note. And so at the end of August, the unaudited total net position is negative $2.3 million. I'm going to move on to page 6. This is our statement of sources and expenditures. And as you can see, Phase 1, we have no sources or expenditures for July and August. Phase 2, we do have the total of $415,000 in interest income on investments, and the total year-to-date expenditures is $26.5 million for Phase 2. And I'm going to move on to the next page, which is our cash flow statement. And the cash flow statement represents the sources and the disbursements on a cash basis that flow through the JSCB throughout the year. The actual figures are shown in July and August, which is what I just reported to you. So it was a total of $15 million combined for the interest and expense for July and $11.3 million for August. So that gives us we should end the fiscal year with approximately $155 million to get us through the rest of the projects. And then I'm going to move on to the last page. And the last page shows us the sources and expenditures from inception to date. It's broken out by both incidental and construction costs paid by the JSCB. So the inception to date sources total about $142.9 million for Phase 1 and $214 million for Phase 2 projects. And the total expenses for Phase 1 is $141 million, and for Phase 2 it's $95 million. As I said, we will be back on track next month with the September financial statement, and also we're beginning the JSCB audit. The auditors are on site, so we hope to be presenting the final audited financial statements to the board, hopefully in January.
Great.
Okay, any questions? Okay.
Thanks. Okay, looks like we have a number of resolutions, so Joe, walk us through.
Yes, and continuing with our theme of technical difficulties, there's a typo in number 9.
Okay.
But that's the agenda that was sent to you electronically is correct.
Okay.
And the resolution has the correct number. So it's 11,281. So beginning with number 5, we have resolution number 52, which would be the monthly payment to Landon and Ryan.
Okay.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 53 would be the monthly payment for the Turner Construction Company.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 54 would be our monthly payments for the Tranche 1 contractors.
So moved.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 55 would be our monthly payments for the Tranche 2 contractors.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 56, as indicated by the correspondence, is our annual renewal of the Directors and Officers Liability Insurance. The premium did decrease by 7.6% from last year.
Great.
And we recommend its approval.
And Joe, can you just repeat the number?
Oh, yes, the annual premium will be $11,281.
Okay, thanks.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Carried.
And resolution number 57 is related to the correspondence to the Office of State Comptroller. The issuance of the bonds will be contingent upon the approval by the State Comptroller of the revised financial plan that was submitted. But this will keep the process going by approving this today. It will provide the final financing for Phase 2, I believe, and it includes Clary Middle School, Danforth Middle School, Elms, Henniger High School, and it wraps around all the financing for the Fowler project.
Great. A motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. We do have a legal matter that we would like to discuss in executive session, so I will entertain a motion to enter executive session for the purpose of getting legal advice regarding a contract dispute.
Before we do that, I did have a technical question. I just thought of, I don't know if the broadcast continues.
We'll look into that.
Okay,
Yeah,
so I just wanted to point that out.
thanks, appreciate it.
But yes, the purpose of the executive session would be to receive legal advice on a contract dispute.
Okay, need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? All right. For those that, we are going to stay in the room this time, so if you're not going to be joining us, we just ask that you step out, please. I'll check on that.